We are warming up and getting ready to full in, all out, run the race that we've been called to as a church, which means we're going to be on mission majorly. That's going to be our focus. I'm not going to talk about these goals here. We'll come back to that in September, but I wanted you to see them. We're going to focus just on these 8 things for 8 months. And I'm just going to hit them briefly. And you're probably going to have questions later. That's kind of the idea. All right? 8 things, 8 months. Here are the challenges. And the idea is we are positioning ourselves, putting ourselves in the best position so that we can fulfill the mission that we've been called to. Here's the 8 things. Number 1, we want every single person to explore and target one ministry that you can engage in by September 10th. Here's what that means. Some of us are going to have to stop sitting on our butts. Some of us are going to have to get involved. You've been coming, and listen, we love having you here. Don't get me wrong. But if you're here not to just be a spectator. You're here to be a part of a body, a community, so that we can accomplish everything that God has called us to. So some of us have to find that place that God wants us to be involved. So you got to start exploring that. For others of us, here's what this is going to mean. You have to stop serving in 4 ministries. And some of you are not going to like me for this. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I'll shed a tear later. You got to stop serving in all the ministries you're serving in. Here's why. 2 reasons. We want everyone in one ministry, not 4, not 2, not 6. One ministry. Here's why. Let me tell you why. Number 1, because if you're in 4 ministries, how effective are you at serving in those ministries? I mean, really invested in those ministries. Because on top of that, you've got your job, and you've got your family, and you've got your health, and you've got your life, and your 4 ministries that you're supposed to be serving in as well. How effective are you being in those 4 ministries? I'm sure you're great, but here's what I'll tell you. God wants you to focus your attention so that you can do far better in whatever that ministry is that He wants you engaged in. Number 2, if you're engaged in 4 ministries, how much extra time do you have to go out and actually share the gospel with people around you? If you're always here serving, what time do you have to actually go out and invite people over for dinner? Build relationships with neighbors. I believe 2 things. Number 1, God has provided every single person needed in this church for us to do every ministry that He wants us to do without burning anybody out. And number 2, without keeping us from going out and making disciples in the world. 1 ministry per person, okay? Number 2, we want everyone to start practicing and hone sharing their faith. The best tool that you've been given is your own testimony. Do you know your testimony? Have you written it down? Do you know how to share it? Start working on it. Number 3, we want you to start planning who to reach through throwing a party and get some other Grace Point Plainfield people to help. We want you to throw parties. All right, so the idea is have some fun, but intentionally build relationships with people who aren't Christians. Now, listen, we're not saying throw a party and at the end of the party, share the gospel and have an altar call. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is having some fun, getting some other people in the church to get together, plan a party, throw a fun party, invite people, neighbors, friends over who don't know Jesus, and start building relationships. That's it. It's not too scary, I don't think. But that's what we're talking about. It's about starting to get some intentionality going. Number 4, we want you to find a life group or community to join or start a new one. Every single person in this room needs community. You need other believers who are walking alongside of you. No one in here can do the Christian life alone. Again, we don't want you involved in a life group, men's ministry, or women's ministry, or an equipping hour, another life group. We want everybody to be in one area of community, developing relationships that are helping them to grow. Everyone. No one just comes and leaves. You've got to have some relationships. You've got to have community. Number 5, solidify your tithe. This past year, in 2016, our church stepped out financially, and we became financially independent from Grace Point, Naperville. And here's what I will tell you. I was worried. A year and a half ago, I thought, God's got to work a miracle. And here's the great news. God worked a miracle this year. We started at $0 in our general fund. $0. And we are ending this year, I don't know, $55,000 in our general fund. That includes paying our monthly mortgage, all of our utilities, and all of our ministry bills. We didn't get a cent from Naperville this year. I'm telling you, it's a miracle. It's amazing. God provided through our giving together. I'm a part of that. We do this together. He provided through our giving. But here's what I want to challenge you with. God wants to stretch us this year. Last year, we didn't have our 10% tithe. This year, we will. It's going to add a good amount to our budget. Our budget is going to stretch. If we're going to fulfill it, guess what that means? We all have to be in on tithing together. That's our giving, and we got to be consistent with it. We got to get solidified in that. Right? Here's the next one, number 6. Pray about offerings, a percent that you can give above your tithing. One of the things we're going to be challenging you with this year, we've been working on getting together a plan for our facility. You know, we did 118 recently. You're going to see changes out in our commons. We're going to get new signs that are coming up that are going to be on the outside of the building. We're working on updating this. And we also have met with an architect who specializes in repurposing previously used spaces and making them into church facilities. They came, they met with us, they're putting a proposal together, and the idea is we are going to make this facility home. The whole thing. We're not going to have carpets with holes in them anymore. We're not going to have lighting that really we can't see anything anyway with. We're going to fix this building, and it's going to become our church home. But here's the deal. That doesn't happen for free. And it cannot happen by a replacement of our tithe. We'll take our tithe and we'll give it to that. No, we have to continue to tithe, but God is going to stretch us if we're either we're in this together or not, and we're going to do it together. We'll share more details as we go. But let me tell you, I want to see this facility become an excellent place that we're proud of. And that's what I'm working on. That's what we're working on. Number 7, we want everyone to engage in at least one missional event, whether locally or globally. We've got Lakewood Nursing Home that we do once a month. We've got our District 202, our Lunch Buddy program, things that we're doing with our schools. And then we've got all of our global mission trips. One of my prayers is to see at least one Grace Point Plainfield person on every single global trip that we've got this year. But we want everybody going and practicing intentionality by being on mission together. And then here's the last thing. We got to start practicing being encouragers together. You know, the Bible does not say, let us be more critical of one another, especially as we see the day of Christ's return approaching. Let's really beat each other up and tear each other down. And some of us think of it as a spiritual gift. It's not. Hebrews says, let us encourage each other all the more as you see the day approaching. We don't encourage each other less, or we don't even stay the same. Here's the challenge. We have to encourage each other more. We need it. You need it. And I want you to start thinking about, it's something we do as a core team. We ask, who are the people that we need to thank? And we try to send out notes, and we try to make sure to thank people. Who are the people that you can thank? I think of Rosemary Ovanik. Every single week, she is making sure with her team that we've got coffee and there's cookies out there. Every single week. Say thank you. Encourage her. Tell her how great she's doing. Absolutely. Tell her how thankful we are for her. On Friday, Larry DeLendy, I called him up and said, hey, listen, we're having problems with the sound system. And he said, you know what? I'm at work, but I'm going to stop it. I'm going to come over. I'm going to take a break to come over and try to make sure that the sound system works for Sunday. He took his time out of his Friday to come and be here. Somebody you can say thank you to, the people who do sound every week, the people who do worship every week, the people who are taking care of your kids and teaching them the gospel every single Sunday. Who are the people that you can encourage and say, man, I see what Jesus is doing in you, and I'm so thankful for that. Keep it up. Keep going. Listen, God wants to do great things through us as a church. He's got great things in store. But I believe we stand at a defining moment as a community. And the question is, what's our story going to be? Is it going to be a story that's just forgotten? Or will it be a story that has implications for eternity? It reverberates through eternity because lives are transformed and changed. People who are dead are raised up to new life because we as a church go on mission with Jesus. seeking to walk in obedience to our King, in confidence, trusting that He's going to give us everything that we need. Which one is it going to be? And don't get me wrong, listen, it isn't going to be comfortable. It isn't going to be easy. You can't stay where you are, sitting still, and accomplish what we're talking about. It's going to stretch you. It's going to challenge you. It's going to require more of you, not less. But see, these are the best stories. These are the best stories. It's the stories that really matter. In The Lord of the Rings, I don't know if you're a Lord of the Rings person. I am. In the second book, Samwise Gamgee is talking to Frodo, and they're taking this ring to Mordor. It's a terribly difficult journey. And I want you to listen to what he says. He says, it's all wrong. Man, it's hard. By rights, we shouldn't even be here, but we are. It's like in the great stories, the ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were, and sometimes you didn't want to know the end, because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad has happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing, this shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come. When the sun shines, it will shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you, that meant something even if you were too small to understand why. But I think I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going because they were holding on to something greater. What's your story going to be? What's our story going to be? I pray, listen, I know what Jesus wants our story to be. The question is, will we follow him forward?